today with Simone. And Simone, how do you pronounce your last name so I don't butcher it? Puccinelli. And you are the founder of Simone's Kids, which is a for-purpose organization that serves the underprivileged children around the world, but I know you do a lot of work specifically in Uganda. And we found out, we met you, some of us from Austin Bible Institute and some of the volunteers and staff at Shaping Destiny had met you at the CAFO conference that was in Nashville about a month ago. We really, really liked what we heard about your ministry and what the work you were doing in Uganda with the people there and the children. So we wanted to take this opportunity to find out more about you and your ministry and then share your ministry on our blog and with some of our students at Austin Bible Institute. So thank you so much, Simone, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I know that some people maybe have heard of Simone Kids before, some maybe haven't. So can you give us just a brief history of Simone's Kids, how you got involved in it, kind of where all of that came from?
Started in 2010. I was a sophomore in college, and I had been in contact with some other people involved in children's ministry, global children's ministry, and they just knew I had a big heart to get into working with orphans. And so they put me in contact with a local in Uganda. His name was Godfrey. And he had grown up an orphan, and his wife had grown up an orphan, and they both were able to get their teaching certificates. And they both had a really good heart to educate the orphans in the community that weren't able to attend school, mainly because of financial reasons. So they had started just teaching kids in like a rented room, and they needed $500 for the year to keep it open. So I just really felt like the Holy Spirit lead me to help those kids in particular and raise the funds to keep that school open. And from there, I started traveling back and forth and really caught the vision to build them a school. And we actually founded a NGO in Uganda. And so it's everything is owned by ministry there. But it's completely ran by like the locals. So we ended up building a school and starting a child sponsorship program through the school, and then all the children that are orphans are actually living in the community. So they are living in people's homes.
That's really awesome. Yeah, I like that you're working with the locals there, that it wasn't something that you necessarily came in and kind of took over everything there. Who put you in contact with? You said his name is Godfrey?
Yeah, his name is Godfrey. So are you asking how I got in contact with him?
Yeah, how did you? I know you said you'd gone back and forth. Had you already met him maybe when you were there, or was there some point of connection where somebody knew about your heart for orphans and somebody had known about his situation and kind of connected the two of you?
Yeah, so it kind of goes pretty far back to when I was like a kid, and my dad went on some trips with an organization and was good friends with them. And then when I was 17, he really knew I had a big heart, so he asked them if I could go with him, even though they didn't really take younger kids. Mm-hmm. So, and that was the organization. It's called God Loves Kids.
Okay.
The name is Eddie Phillips. So that is who got me in contact.
That's really awesome. And you said you were a sophomore in college. Were you already going kind of on these trips, or was it like a one-time? Like for me, I went on my first mission trip to Africa when I was about 20, and I had no exposure to it before then, and all of a sudden it was like, I'm obsessed. Like something just lit fire in me, and it changed how I came back and looked at the world. I didn't want to keep doing my entry level like retail job. I was constantly like, let's support kids. Let's like find out more. I was wanting to go on mission trips. I was wanting to find out how I could help. And at the time I was like, I don't know what I can do to help, but other people knowing about my heart started getting me involved in different things. So was it a similar story for you? I know you said your father kind of had history for that, so maybe it was almost in your blood, something you kind of grew up with.
My dad always loved missions, and we went on them like before I was born.
Mm-hmm.
So I did grow up seeing someone go on trips and doing short-term stuff, and he would work with ministries and go and speak and preach, and because there's a time in his life he was in the ministry as like a pastor, so he would go and do preaching, and I would see like kids hung up in the church like that when he did sponsors and stuff, and I just, as a kid, I just like the idea of orphans just kind of, I guess, like you said, like consumed. It kind of consumed me. But that's always what I wanted to do. Like when I was like a little kid and I would play with my dolls. I mean, it's kind of weird, but I would play like orphanage because they didn't have any mommies and daddies, so I would be taking care of them. And when I was like 9 or 10, I actually took down this map from my dad's office, and I put tacks everywhere I wanted to build an orphanage. So I put, tacks all over this nice big global map. And then when I was in middle school was when I actually was at a conference and felt the Holy Spirit be like, you're gonna help children in need one day. So whenever I would go on trips, and like when I went to Africa when I was 17, I was going to learn. I knew that it was part of what I was gonna do one day. So I was really going to learn how ministries worked, what did it look like, how do people help people, So, I mean, every trip was very inspiring, but I think there was a lot of foundation.
Yeah, I always love hearing stories like this where you just see God kind of putting the puzzle pieces together. From a very young age, you were concerned about helping those in need and families and different things like that. So more about Simone's kids. You said it started out just raising funds to help provide the rent for a building of a school that was already kind of there. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it had started in 2008.
Okay. And you were just kind of raising the funds, and then I would assume you were able to raise that $500 that they needed. And after that, that fire kind of had ignited, and you were like, I want to do more. Like, what else can I help? So what happened after that? Is that when you started looking into a sponsorship program? What was the next step for you after you said, okay, I can help, I want to do more? What happened after that?
Well, so January was kind of when I first received the first email. And by the summertime is when I had sent the first 500. And that summer, I actually went on a school trip, a 6-week school trip in Asia, and it was for a school trip. It didn't really have anything to do with orphans. So during that summer, I really got to think about what I was going to do with this. I created this organization. What am I going to do next? And I really just felt like, I needed to go in December, meet the kids, and because, obviously in college you can't go during
Sure.
So you have to either go in the summer or you have to go in December. So I planned a trip in December, and I was going to go by myself, and then my dad realized I was really serious, so he booked the flight too. He didn't want me to go by myself. And I collected things for the kids. I just did small stuff. Like I got candy and shoes, and I went in and played games and took pictures of the kids, and that's really when I got like a vision to buy land. So we started looking around for land, and after that, it took a long time to raise the money to buy land, and then we did things like, the kids weren't eating, so one of the first things we did was we created a food program for them.
Okay.
So they could have lunch. And we set up a medical care fund. So if any of the kids, because the kids were like dying from malaria. It was pretty much the lowest of the low you could think of. The medicine is like $3, and they were dying from it.
Yeah.
So it's like we set up a pretty, it would be a good size medical care fund, and from there, we bought the land, and then we created blueprints and started building the school. And I didn't do child sponsorship for a long time because I didn't see it. I knew it was a lot of administrative processing. But the way we've set it up is that you get a picture of a child and a letter from a child once a year, but all the funds go to the school.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, 100% of your funds go to the school, and then anything you do need to pay for administratively is raised separately.
That's awesome.
So, it's a pretty good way for people to stay connected to the
Yeah.
program and like grow with the kids and see the difference
Yeah.
that it's making.
So how many children are attending? The school is called God's Hope Primary School. Is that correct? How many children currently attend?
We're about 490.
Wow. Okay, so that's a big school. How many were there? Was that how big it was when you first started getting involved with them, or has your support of the school allowed it to be able to grow to that size?
Yeah. I think the school is probably around 150.
Okay. Wow. So there's been significant growth, obviously, with that.
Where they were having school was very small.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very limited.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm a really big advocate for quality. When I do something, I want it to be, of good quality. So the classrooms are quite large.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we are working on class size, like maintaining it at a proper,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just to keep the high quality of the kids.
Yeah.
And it will take a while because, we have to kind of let them age out as we bring in new kids. We'll just bring in less kids.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of a constantly
kids.
learning.
We just know that in the community there is a couple schools that kids can pay to go to. So we want to reserve our school for the kids.
Yeah, the real need. Sure. So your school, is it only orphans that attend it? How do you select what children you will admit and enroll in the school? Do you look for specific criteria, or is it just kind of something that, and obviously with things like this, you adjust and you learn as you go. So maybe now it's a little different than how it was when it first started, but what types of children or what criteria do you have when enrolling students into your primary school?
So the way it started was we would actually go out and find these kids that weren't in school, and just reach out to them, invite them to school, become friends with them, so they would kind of trust us, and that's kind of how we got kids started coming to school. Now, obviously, the word has pretty much gotten out about what we do. So mostly the kids come to us, and if they are orphan, a double orphan, which means they don't have a mom or dad, and most of the time it means they don't really have any other family around, they do attend our school for free.
Awesome.
If they are a single parent, they attend our school for half off. So if they have, not if they are a single parent, if they only have a single parent,
yes,
it's half off. And then if they have both parents, it's full. But our rate is the lowest.
Awesome. So even for children that have a family and both parents, you're still allowing low, affordable education to the children that are there.
So basically, it all goes through our head counselor, pretty much all the enrollment. So we really just trust her judgment on knowing the people's situation. Because maybe someone has a mom and dad, but maybe the dad is where they can work.
Yeah.
Mom just takes care of the kids. So we don't really have this strict guide. We don't have super strict guidance.
Yeah.
Just a general one. And if they do come from other towns, then they bring in documents saying they're orphans, and we talk to, So there is different ways we figure it out, but mostly now they come to us.
Yeah, so the way that it sounds like it's set up is that you were saying this earlier, that primarily, as far as who heads it in Uganda, it's all local Ugandans. The head counselor is a local, and Godfrey, and the teachers are mostly local. All, I would assume, all local then.
Yeah, they're all local.
And then you have your staff here, which would be you and marketing and finances and all the administrative stuff here in the States.
Yes.
Cool. And then how do you manage to keep that accountability? Because obviously with you being here in the States, you're responsible to your sponsors and donors and other people here. Do you go and visit, or do you keep up communications with the locals there? How is it that you keep to make sure that excellent quality is being handled correctly?
Yeah, so we have a couple different ways we do that. One of the ways is we established bank accounts in Uganda, and there's accountability to those, and then there's a board of directors in Uganda.
Awesome.
With some Americans on it and some Ugandans on it.
Yeah.
So it's pretty well looked over, like watched. From the beginning, we always had, like, so let's just say $1,000 was set, and then we send a breakdown of what is supposed to be spent. So $200 on food, $300 on this, and the accountability was just for like making sure that actually happened. And we just started small, and we just grew. We gave a little, they did give a little, we gave a little more, and we give, So, and it's just, you can clearly tell if people spend money on what they're supposed to.
Sure.
Most of the time. So, that's what we would do. That's part of traveling twice a year, is just to really keep tabs on this.
Yeah.
We also have, every year, it wasn't planned, but every year we have had someone be there for at least one whole term. So there's 3 terms a year that are like a little over 3 months. And so we have had someone there for a whole term. So you really get to see, if you stay longer than like 2 or 3 weeks, you really get to see like where they may be putting on a show or not.
Yeah. And I love that you're going and visiting too. Not that you shouldn't trust the Africans, but you have a responsibility here. Not only is it your heart that you want to be there and see things, but to make sure that everyone's on the same page. What's being communicated is actually what's going on. You were telling me earlier that sometimes you'll go by yourself on these trips, and sometimes you'll allow other volunteers to join you.
So in the wintertime, I usually go by myself. And that's like the beginning of the school year for them. So we're getting everything ready. And then in the summertime, there's an open trip. And so it's $9.50 plus whatever our plane ticket costs.
That's awesome. And is it more of just like an exposure trip where they come and they visit and they see things? Or do the volunteers do different activities when they're on these trips with you?
So I would say half and half.
Okay, cool.
A lot of it is going to be exposure. But you also, we do all the kids' updates, and so it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So we got to take all their pictures, have them write letters, fill out the forms. And we usually have taken them on a field trip, which was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
We take them on a field trip to the zoo or to a theme park. And we have different I just plan different things for the team to do. Like last year, they painted in school.
That's cool.
So I usually just make up whatever I feel like there would be good need for.
Yeah.
It's not exact every year.
That's awesome. And you were saying that the children, they're from the community. Are there dormitories at the school? Do they only attend the school and they live in homes outside of it? What if a child came and was a double orphan? Did it, maybe was living on the streets or was not having good quality care? Is there anything that you do for them?
Yeah, so we find them a home. We find them a home in the community. So, like, maybe like a more immediate thing is probably stay with the teacher for a little while until we find them.
That's awesome. I love that. And also you were saying that you do a feeding program. You're started to provide lunch. Is it one meal a day for the children?
Yeah. So it's called Even Me. Because they say that a lot in Uganda. Like, if you're passing out candy or something, they'll be like, even me, even me.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome.
so it's called Even Me, and it's breakfast and lunch.
That's
And so
awesome.
we're trying to move from, we did just porridge for a while, and now for breakfast is porridge, and then lunch is bush and beans. And then on Fridays, they get rice and beans.
That's so
Because
cool.
they really like rice. Now, and then we do buy like vegetables from the market and put them in the beans, but it's really not the proper amount someone should be getting. So we are working towards the next step of actually providing half an egg and a piece of fruit
Wow.
for breakfast, and then also providing a side of vegetable and a side of fruit for lunch.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty big step, and we're still trying to figure out how we take that step.
That's exciting. Does the sponsorship, what does the sponsorship provide their education, the medical kind of funds, and the feeding program, or are those separate that donors can decide what they want to be supporting?
Yeah, so it's all one.
Awesome.
So yeah, it covers the operational cost of the school, which includes the lunch.
How much is it to sponsor a child per month with Simone's Kids?
It is $12 a month to sponsor a younger child.
Wow.
And it's $20 a month to sponsor a secondary student.
Okay.
And if we increase the food program, we're going to go to 15.
Which is understandable with eggs and fruit. It's a little bit more expensive than the porridge, and that's exciting. I love that it seems like you're constantly wanting to improve your ministry. You're looking out for the best of the children. You're wanting to make sure that, best practices are here, that not only are you giving them education, but you're thinking about their nutrition, you're thinking about their home life, you're thinking about a lot of other things. It's called God's Hope Primary School. I would assume it's faith-based. Is there any sort of Sunday school or chapel time or any sort of, faith integrated in this?
Well, it is a Christian school. So in Uganda, their state exams have, from my understanding, their state exams are you take a religion portion. So you have to pick either the Christian test or the Muslim test.
Okay.
So most schools you'll find choose one to teach. Most of them don't teach both. So our school is Christian. So we teach the Christian curriculum, and from there, so they have a Bible class every day, and then on Monday mornings they have general assembly, and someone gives a lesson to everybody.
That's really cool. That's awesome. So it's a primary school, and you were saying that if people want to sponsor a child through secondary school, that's an option too. So is that something how far do you support the children through? Are you wanting to get to a point where you go all the way up to university, or is there an age where they kind of just age out of the program, that it's sequenced to this specific time?
Yeah, so we have built up our secondary program. So if they have a sponsor, we can afford to pay for them to go to secondary because we actually have that income. And so basically now at this point, though, we've pretty much gotten them all sponsored, almost. We're really close to getting them all sponsored. So basically when they go, we are supporting them through secondary school. And in the next, so basically how it works, it's kind of like, this is not the real numbers, but we have like one kid in secondary level 4, we have 3 kids in secondary level 3, we have 10 kids in secondary level 2, and then like 30 kids in secondary level 1. So as we have grown, the number of kids in secondary school has grown. So now they will be aging out of secondary kind of at that same rate. So the first year we'll only have to worry about like sending one kid to college.
Sure.
And so the second year we're only going to be worried about having to send 4 kids. So we do want to send them all to college and university, and we are trying to build up actually college fund.
That's really cool.
Because it is much more expensive than $12.
Yeah, well, yeah, one would assume so. That's really, really cool. I love this. And A little bit more about your educational background, because I know that for some people hearing this, they could be like, she's amazing. Like, she must have gone to school for this. I don't know anything about this kind of stuff. Now, you do have a degree in business. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm sure you've seen that help you with a lot of different aspects like this, but were there any areas that that you kind of maybe felt completely overwhelmed with, that you had to go to somebody else? Or how is it that you were able to kind of do all of this type of work? Because I know for someone like me or a lot of our students, I'm like, I'm learning how to do this. All of this seems so much bigger than what I could ever do. And I know you going through it step by step, you were like, look, it took a long time to raise these funds. You should see how much we've been through. For us on the outside, it's easy for the audience to be like, well, that's nice for her, props for her, I can't do it. Was there anything that really helped you as you were going through this, so you didn't have to do it all by yourself?
Yeah. Starting while I was in college was kind of a unique experience because I had a lot of friends around me that would be like, yeah, let's do it. Like college kids are awesome.
Yeah.
They're just so pumped about everything. So there was a couple clubs that kind of, I knew people in the clubs, and so they would come to me and be like, hey, we want to do our fundraiser for you, and so that was really awesome.
Awesome.
I obviously would contact like CPAs and lawyers to actually help me get set up with this legal stuff.
Okay.
Then like the business side, I would come up with concepts and ideas, and then I would kind of go to certain friends that I knew had special skills, like they were just really creative, or they were good at website design. So I would have them kind of like teach me how to build a website, and then I would, we'd build it together. And so kind of the way I built my board and still build my board is off skill basis.
Yeah.
I feel like the organization needs. So wherever I was weak, or I knew someone that was better than I would kind of just reach out to them.
Yeah, and I think that's great, because unfortunately I think that a misconception in this kind of work is I need to do it all by myself. And that easily can weigh somebody down, where I love that you're talking about reaching out to your friends or your family members or somebody that is strong in areas that you're weak. And even if you have an idea, hey, you don't necessarily need to do this for me. Teach me how to do it, so that you're not spending hours trying to figure out how to do something all on your own, getting really frustrated, and then ending up kind of quitting on that.
Yeah, and just talking out ideas kind of really helps you.
Yeah.
Just like, so yeah, I thought about building 100 schools, and people will be like, well, they just kind of like help you work through your own vision.
Yeah.
Think of like it's as the leader, you're kind of a visionary, and just like everything else, you kind of have to like strengthen that skill. You have to figure out what path and when to kind of change from your original vision and when to like stick to it, because I think that's really important to know when to do which one.
Sure.
Because if you keep changing your vision, obviously then something's probably wrong. But
Yeah.
if you're just so stuck in your ways that you won't change, it's probably not wise either.
Sure. So speaking of vision, and I know this is something you've talked with us about before, I love talking about visions and dreams and goals. In the next 5 years of Simone's Kids, what's your vision? What would you like to see, not only as a general ministry, but even like with the children? Where do you see Simone's Kids going in the next 5 years?
Yeah, we kind of talked earlier about the college. So I just think it'd be awesome. And like when I come back to visit, just to have my kids come back to visit me too. Like, oh, Simone's coming into town, let's go, like, see her, and meet their spouses and meet their kids, and, just see the fruit of the kids, the help that they received and how it really changed their lives. So, really following the kids over the next 5 years, following them through high school, college, and getting to see them. Because we really train our kids that they're being helped so they can help others.
Yeah.
It's a big concept in our values, and so we're really hoping to see the fruit of teaching that not just take, but we get equipped so we can go out.
Sure. And are you hoping to have Simone's kids reach out to other countries? Because right now you're just in Uganda, is that correct?
Yeah. So what I kind of operate under just kind of waiting for. I don't have any plans.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always open. If like God brought an opportunity and wanted me to do it, I'm not gonna say no.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't actively like search to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's how I started. It came to me.
Sure.
And I responded to help, and so I'm definitely not against whatever.
Wherever the Lord takes.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
I get that question a lot. So I have to. Like, why just Uganda? And I'm like, I didn't really choose Uganda.
Yeah, and again, I kind of think that it's it's like when the Bible talks about all of us being different members of the body. It's this is where I am right now, and I'm going to do excellent work in Uganda, and there's other people. That's what I loved about the CAFO conference is that. Sometimes this journey and this work is so defeating almost, and you feel really alone, and it's almost like a constant uphill battle. And then to meet other people where it's like, oh, you're in, Tanzania, oh, you're in Asia, oh, you're in Nepal, like places that we could never go ourselves, but there's other people as the body of Christ that are there doing work that we couldn't do. And it makes you feel, even though you're not part of their organizations, it makes you feel connected, and it makes you feel stronger that I'm going to hold my ground where I am. This is where God has placed me. And thankfully, I don't have to save the whole world. There are other people in other countries and towns and villages, reaching out to people that you never could yourself.
It is definitely a task that no one can do by themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So last question that I had for you. If you were talking to a young person, a man, a woman, whoever it is, who was in college like you were when you were first starting this and was, a mini Simone back in the day who was like, I have a heart for orphans. I want to help. What is it? What can I do? How do I even start? How do I know who to trust? Like, when do I, put a cap on my dreams? Am I being realistic? What would be a piece of advice you would give them when they're passionate about it, but they just really don't know what to even do?
Yeah, that's a big question.
And I know I didn't give you any time to prepare for this, so take a moment.
Goodness. Well, I would definitely want them to further investigate what they want to do by trying it out.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people are like, yeah, I want to go live in, I don't know, Ghana. And I'm like, oh, have you ever, been to Ghana?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's like, okay. So I would definitely get on, make the investment and get on a short-term trip and just go experience it. And then if you like it, then plan like a 6-month trip.
Yeah.
And, I would definitely just try to find an organization to learn from. Get someone like a little bit older and help them fulfill their vision and dream. Help learn from them.
Yeah.
Find a good mentor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Be a good mentee. Mm-hmm. And kind of grow and develop from there because God can open doors like miraculously, but one of the best practices I would say was like if you want to do something, like go get a job at an organization that does it. And if God is calling you to like start something of your own, then that door will open of where there will be a need that presents itself.
Yeah, and they'll probably be a lot better equipped when they've learned and gone through and seen somebody do it, versus trying to figure it out all on their own. Because again, I know that it's so easy for someone to hear a story like yours and be like, that's awesome, I could never do it. And I think that was a great piece of advice. You know, you're telling people, well, don't just start out from scratch. Partner with an organization that's already working and already doing it. Learn as you go. You know, be a student first. Go and experience the culture and see, is this something that, you know, maybe it's not just the right timing, or maybe you need to grow and learn a little bit more before God really unleashes you to do the work. I thought that was really, really awesome.
Yeah, and then if you have a mentor that you work under for a little while, when you start your organization, if you need help, you have someone.
Yeah.
And it won't feel as it won't feel like a competition. It'll feel like, you know, everyone helping each other.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's been really great. Well, thank you so much, Simone, for taking the time to talk with me. Again, I love the work that you're doing in Uganda. I looked at your website and seeing the pictures of the kids and the different fundraisers that you're doing and all the different programs. And I love your heart. It's very similar to mine and a lot of the students at Austin Bible Institute, a lot of our blog followers on Orphan Care Movement that see the need and want to help. And I love that you're very teachable and humble about it, realizing, hey, everyone should learn first. But you also took the initiative to say, God presented an opportunity, and best practices working with the locals and not trying to come in and step on anyone's feet, but really empowering them and filling in where they are weak in and allowing them to take the reins in areas that you're weak in. I thought that was really awesome. Yeah, well, great. Well, thank you again so much. I know we're going to be having some links to your website, Simone'sKids. Is it .com or .org?
It's .com.
.com, awesome. And there's opportunities to sponsor through you, or maybe even go on trips with you. If not this summer, then maybe next summer. But we would love to be able to share more about your ministry, and we'll have some links there for our audience to take a look at. So thank you again for your time. And you're heading to Uganda, is it next week, this week?
2 days.
2 days. Wow. Well, safe travels, and I'm glad we caught you before you go. And hopefully we can touch base when you come back. We'd love to be able to kind of keep an update on how you're doing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you, Simone. You have a good day, and we'll be talking soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.